Now, welcome to another weekend ramble where we're gonna talk about a topic I know we've talked about before, but it's the kind of the future of collecting action figures or collecting collectibles, I guess you could say.
Where is collecting standing?
Yeah. And this kind of comes up because if you don't know, there is another HasLab project. And if you don't know what HasLab project, it's basically crowdfunding larger scale toys, or
Through
collectibles
Hasbro, yes.
through Hasbro. And anyway, there's been another one, and this one is for...
It's the HasLab Robbie Reyes Engine of Vengeance
Yes.
Ghost Rider.
$350 for Ghost Rider's car. One of the Ghost Riders. There's obviously...
It's Robbie Reyes.
Yeah. Yes. There's multiple Ghost Riders for anybody confused. So
It's not Johnny Blaze.
it's not Johnny Blaze and like his motorcycle or something cool like that.
I wouldn't
Not that
pay
this isn't cool.
$350 for the motorcycle.
I wouldn't pay $350 for the car, but
No.
that's kind of what we're going to get to, I think. So yeah, there's another one. This one, $350. It's basically at face value a car and one action figure for $350. Now that isn't to say it isn't cool.
No, it's got LEDs, so anything
Yeah.
that looks lit up in the picture, it actually does light
Yeah.
up. It has the cool effects for the wheels. You can transform it back and forth from a regular car to Ghost Rider's Engine of Vengeance.
Yeah.
Comes with some weapons for Robbie Reyes.
Yeah, it looks cool. It's not a matter of if it's cool or not, or if it's something I would want. It's something would I want to own it? Kind of. I'm not a huge Ghost Rider guy. I'm not really. I don't really collect Marvel Legends, which doesn't say I don't
Anymore.
Yeah, I used to, but it was like, I just got too much, and I'd rather have room for more Star Wars, to be completely honest with you. And so it's something that I'm sure a lot of people like, and yet it's having, no surprise, it's kind of having some troubles getting funded. It looks like it may eventually cross that line. Now, what happened with this one is
bribery, yeah.
well, I don't know. It's kind of a sketchy thing here because it initially came out of the gate pretty well, not like crazy. It got to, I think it was about 6,200 backers a couple days ago, and then it hit its early bird mark, and the early bird mark is if it gets funded by this time, you get an extra action figure.
Yeah, you get the human version of Robbie Reyes. Yes.
And it didn't meet that, so since then it's been going backwards over the last few days.
It's at around 5,700.
Yeah, it's about 5,700 at the time of record. So it's lost about 400 or 500 backers already. Mm-hmm. And then you start to consider, well, it's probably not going to hit those tiers. And the first tier is Mephisto, which looks cool.
Which is actually what might drive it into somehow finishing.
Maybe, but then it has to hit that other tier. It could have this thing where it actually crosses the line and maybe starts to get close to that tier. And then when it looks like it's not going to hit the first tier and unlock that, it could actually go backwards and be unfunded.
Right.
That wouldn't shock me at all. Because people want the extra value. Go figure.
Exactly. Already missing out on the early bird special is rough. The G.I. Joe Hiss had no trouble reaching it.
No, the Hiss was awesome. I kind of kicked myself. I didn't back the Hiss. I considered
I feel like the
it.
price point was better on the Hiss.
I feel like it was, I don't know. It was pretty much the same price point, right? $300 for the Hiss, wasn't it? So this was actually more than the Hiss? Or was the Hiss $350?
I think
can't remember.
This was more than the Hiss, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think this was $50 more than the Hiss, which just felt like a better, I don't know, it felt like a little bit better of a deal. Maybe.
Well, and them hitting the early bird, give them another $25, $30 action figure.
Yeah, that's something else we could talk about, $25 or $30 action figure.
With HasLab, with this project not meeting the early bird, they're already missing out on a $25 to $30 value.
Yeah, it's gone. Mm-hmm. I think early bird is kind of a dumb idea because I think it's showing how it can backfire right now. Just put it in there, right?
Just throw it in there.
Just put it in from the start.
You don't need to bribe them to get to the finish line.
Yeah, I think these tier things are a backfire. I really do. I think you would be better off just saying, this is everything we're going to give you for $350 and let people, buy it. And then, I know tiers are kind of, I guess they're kind of fun, but it's not like you can really impact it, unless you're buying
there's a limit of 5 per person.
Well, sure, but you could technically get around that with different people, and I'm sure there's a ways around it. But yes, in theory, there's a limit of like 5, which kind of surprises me. Like, why not just I guess that prevents a large retailer from saying, "Hey, we're gonna pluck up thousands of these." Not that they would, I don't think, but I guess that's to prevent anything like that.
The resale value on these things.
Yeah, I don't know why. You would think it's funny with how greedy Hasbro seems. You would think they'd be like, yeah, anybody who wants to order 1 million of these things can order 1 million. We don't care. It's like they try to put on this pretense of like, yeah, we actually care about collectors. We don't want to see the market flooded on this potentially valuable, one of a kind of thing. And yet everything else, they're like, we don't really care.
Well, it's almost like they just don't want this to be resold by
Yeah.
stores at a marked up price. They want to have the only marked up price. I mean, a retailer's going to get this, and what they're going to have to sell it for $400?
Yeah, because they're not going to get like the manufacturer's price. Here's what you will sell to you for, and then you can sell it for the MSRP. But I don't know. I think this HasLab thing is kind of. I thought it was initially a really cool idea. I did when the first one was the sail barge. I'm like, okay, this is something they're never going to make this thing, right? It's just too big, too pricey, too much store shelf, too much can go wrong with retailers buying this thing or trying to sell this thing and not getting it's just a potential nightmare. So sell it directly to your customer. Enough people back it, you make it. Cool idea. Mm-hmm. And some of the other ones have been really cool as well. And now it's like, here's Robbie Reyes's car. Like, is this like something that like
it's
a lot of
price point that is the problem?
But my point, But my point is like, is this something like Marvel Legends collectors have been sitting around going, oh my god, you know what? I would love to see Robbie Reyes's car. Not saying the character's bad. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just, is this something that a lot of collectors have been pining for? Because I can tell you the sail barge has been like the holy grail of, kind of vintage collectors in Star Wars.
Well,
it's
Marvel
what they've always
Legends
since they were
doesn't
kids.
get a ton of vehicles in the first place. I'm telling you, if that HasLab project would have been a Spider-Man with a Spider-Mobile, we might be having a conversation, because some of us really liked the Spider-Buggy.
Sure, yeah, the one
oh
or
my
two
gosh,
issues
if it had
it showed up in.
the working lights that cast the spider signal. No, we'd be
God,
having a conversation.
The spider signal. But no, my point is like the initial idea was like, okay, these are the things we could never ever conceive of making, and sending to retail, and we're gonna do that. And some of the other legends have been like, Galactus and a Sentinel and these huge things. Like, okay, but now we're like, here's, like I said, Robbie Reyes's car. Okay, is that something? I mean, that's something I could see being in a store for $100, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, we just went, we went out yesterday and we stopped at a store because for whatever reason, I still will stop at stores and glance at the toy department because I like to torture myself.
Every time. I'm like, why are we even bothering? We pre-order our figures online now because of this problem.
Yeah. So, we went to a major retailer store and it's like they had nothing. They had almost nothing for like any of the collectible lines. Mm-hmm. And then we saw like some of like the Jurassic Park dinosaurs and some of the other, like Mattel for some reason seems like
Mattel will put their stuff on the shelves.
It's like these are but these are like giant things, and I'm like, they had like a Castle Grayskull for $80, and I was like,
$80.
How much is this?
Castle Grayskull and a figure, and
and the Sorceress figure, and I'm like, $80? Like, shouldn't this be like 500? Oh wait, it's not Hasbro. Like, how can Mattel make these giant toys? How can these other companies make these giant plastic toys and charge reasonable prices? And it's like, Hasbro, now we're going to need at least like $800 for this thing.
Yes.
Like, I get maybe they're a little bit more, attention to detail. They're a little bit better quality than, say, the giant dinosaur for Jurassic Park. I get that. Mm-hmm. But really, like, hundreds of dollars more?
Hundreds. And don't worry, they didn't save any money by taking the windows away. I'm sure, including that plastic, probably cost them a little extra money.
I think it does.
Rather than just do all cardboard. I think they save money on that, and we're getting charged more.
That's the other one of the other big problems. Like, the prices just keep, and like quickly. Like, I feel like it was just 2 years ago we were paying $20. Now it's like $28 is not too uncommon for like an exclusive release. Like, this is just. I mean, how many people are you pricing out of it? And how much is the cost actually going up versus how much is their profit going up?
Right.
And how much does your profit go up when you push so many people out of the marketplace? Or out of, how do you push your customers out? And are you recouping what you're losing on the number of sales? I'm not a business expert, but I would think your best bet would be to have a huge customer base and make less money per customer than having a small customer base and making more money. I mean, if you're making the same amount, like, I don't know, I would think you would want a larger customer base, because every now and then maybe you do put something special out there that you up the price tag a couple bucks and you make more money rather than, because now we're getting to the point where, I mean, how many collectors are going to even be left to support these stupid HasLab projects?
You're going to run their bank accounts dry.
Yeah, I mean,
but if nothing gets funded, though, I guess there's no loss.
Yeah.
Except for my disappointment that I still don't own a Rancor.
What happened to the idea of trying to make a quality product?
The Rancor cost as much as this car.
Yeah. But no, what happened? Where is the... And maybe it's just never been that way, but you would think the idea would be to make a quality product to actually satisfy your customers and give them what they want, and that's how you make your money, not to try to scam them or to squeeze as much money out of them as possible.
That doesn't sound like good business to me.
Yeah. And speaking of going to stores, like, there's nothing in... Like, I can't foresee a positive, bright future for action figure collecting.
It's all going to be online if it continues at all.
Yes, but how many kids, like seriously, how many kids are getting toys anymore? How many kids want toys? I mean, how many times do we go into the toy department and like we don't see any kids?
It's very odd.
I mean, even a few years ago, I felt like every time I got, just freaking kids in here, I'm trying to get my toys. Yes, I'm joking, but no, not really. But my point is, like, I don't see kids going through the toy department anymore. They don't. I don't think many people care about toys anymore. I mean, I think there's a reason why Toys R Us is gone here in the United States, though it's trying to come back. And it's not just that Amazon and online retailers killed them. It's you lost a huge chunk of your customer base. You lost children. Which sounds horrible, losing children, but you know what I mean.
No, the toys are too expensive for kids now.
Well, it's not that they're too expensive. They're too expensive for adults. I mean, for the parents to buy them.
Toys just don't get the attention they used to, I guess.
No, you're right. I mean, I don't watch like straight up like cartoons for kids. I mean, are there like advertisements for toys? I mean, I can tell you, coming home from school, you're watching G.I. Joe, you're watching Transformers and Voltron, Thundercats, all these things. Like, you're getting bombarded with commercials for the toys that associated with those shows you're watching. I mean, the shows themselves were basically commercials.
Maybe
let's be
that's
honest.
part of the streaming problem. When you're streaming the weird new He-Man show, I don't remember what it was called exactly.
Yeah.
When you're streaming that, they don't advertise that there's toys, but there are toys. I've seen them.
There are
that new weird He-Man.
Yeah, not
Revelations.
No,
the other
He-Man,
one, the one that's meant for the younger crowd.
Something Eternia or something.
The ones I don't know. But yeah, there are toys. I've seen them in the store, but you're streaming a show. There's no advertisements.
No.
But then again, I know my friend her daughter really liked the Monster High, and she wanted all the dolls.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's still some. But I would say the combination of just the sheer greed of prices going up, people getting tired of it, people getting tired of exclusives, and these companies just not listening to what customers actually want, to, maybe kids not getting into it anywhere near as much as they used to. I mean, is it a grim future for 20, 30 years from now? Is this even going to be an industry? When my generation's kind of, on their way out, if you will.
You're going to be on your way out then?
Well, I'm hoping
these are things I'd like to know. But
another 50, 60 years I'd be fine with. But, I'm just saying, in all reality, the generation who grew up with the 80s kids, who I think is, at least this could be my biased perspective, is kind of the pinnacle of the action figure era. I mean, 20, 30 years, we're going to be, 60s, 70s, 80s. I don't know how many of us are going to be, worrying so much about pre-ordering the newest Star Wars figure. So if there isn't a new generation or a couple new generations behind us that are doing the same thing, I don't know if, that it'll even be a thing anymore. Anybody who thinks you're going to retire on your action figures,
maybe not.
You might have another thing coming.
I'm retiring on your action figures. I mean, you've been gone in 30 years.
No, but you know what I'm saying. I mean, I'm just saying in general, the crowd who collects action is getting older and older. And I'm not saying there isn't somebody, 15 or 20 watching this like, I love that collecting. That's great. That is really great for my future retirement. But, I'm not saying that. But I think in general, the crowd is getting older. They're getting tired of the BS. It's getting more and more expensive. And we could be on the verge of seeing it go bye-bye in the not too distant future.
That's possible.
Okay, well, that's all I've got for you this time. The ramble comes to an end. So it's now your turn to take to the comments below and tell me what you think about this. I know this is something we've talked about quite a bit, but once again, with another apparent failed HasLab project, at least in one respect with the early bird, it brings the question back to the forefront. Is greed the problem? Is a lack of collectors? Is it prices? What is it that's going wrong with the action figure world? Whatever the case may be, leave your comments below. Let's talk some collecting. And until next time, thanks for watching.